Wars are often explained with simple stories. A dictator wanted power, a nation felt threatened. A conflict erupted over ideology, religion, or territory. But what if those explanations are only the surface? What if the real trigger for most wars isn't hatred or ambition, but pressure inside the economic system itself? History shows something unsettling. Major wars tend to arrive not during prosperity, but after long periods of economic strain, falling growth, rising debt, resource bottlenecks, social tension, then suddenly, a spark. The mystery isn't why wars start. The mystery is why they so often start when economies stop working the way they used to. To understand the real economic reason behind war, we need to zoom out. Countries are not just political entities. They are economic systems. Governments must feed populations, maintain employment, secure resources, service debt, and preserve legitimacy. When they succeed, stability follows. When they fail, pressure builds. Throughout history, leaders rarely admit economic failure openly. Instead, external threats become convenient explanations. War reframes internal problems as external challenges. This pattern isn't new. It spans empires, monarchies, republics, and modern nation-states. The names change, the systems evolve, but the pressure cycle remains. And it always follows a familiar path. The origins of war often begin years or decades before the first shot is fired. It starts with economic imbalance. Productivity slows. Inequality widens. Debt rises faster than growth. Resources become harder or more expensive to secure. Trade relationships strain. At first, these problems are manageable. Governments borrow. Central banks intervene. Policymakers delay pain. Cause leads to effect. Debt masks stagnation. Stagnation fuels social tension. And social tension erodes political stability. As pressure builds, leaders face a narrowing set of options. Reform is slow and politically costly. Doing nothing risks collapse. Redirecting attention outward becomes increasingly attractive. As economic pressure rises, political narratives change. Domestic problems are reframed as external threats. Trade disputes become national security issues. Resource access becomes strategic necessity. Borders become symbols of survival rather than lines on a map. Militarization often follows economic stress, not the other way around. Defense spending creates jobs. Military production absorbs excess capacity. National unity can be rebuilt around perceived danger. This is not accidental. War, or preparation for it, temporarily solves several economic problems at once: employment, demand, and political cohesion. But it also raises the stakes. The breaking point comes when economic systems can no longer expand peacefully. Markets saturate. Trade routes destabilize. Energy or food supplies tighten. Currency systems weaken. Debt becomes unmanageable without growth. At this point, conflict becomes a way to reset conditions. Wars destroy excess capacity, restructure debt, redraw trade relationships, and consolidate power. History is clear. Many major wars began after prolonged economic stress, not sudden political shock. The cause and effect chain is consistent. Economic pressure narrows choices, leaders escalate risk, and eventually conflict becomes the release valve. War does not solve economic problems cleanly, it transforms them. In the short term, war boosts production and employment. In the long term, it leaves debt, destruction, and demographic scars. Winners inherit responsibility. Losers face collapse or restructuring. Post-war periods often bring new economic orders, new currencies, institutions, alliances, and rules. The old system breaks, a new one emerges. This is why wars are often followed by economic resets. But resets come at enormous human cost. Why don't countries fix these problems without war? Because peaceful fixes require accepting loss, lower growth, reduced influence, shared power, or debt restructuring. These outcomes are politically dangerous. Instead, leaders attempt partial solutions: stimulus without reform, borrowing without growth, expansion without productivity. These fixes delay collapse but increase fragility. When those fixes fail, the system snaps back harder. History shows that war often occurs not because leaders want it, but because previous economic compromises were avoided too long. Today, the same warning signs are visible. Global debt is at record levels. Productivity growth is weak. Resource competition is intensifying. Trade is fragmenting. Defense spending is rising worldwide. The language has changed, but the pattern hasn't. Economic stress is again being reframed as strategic rivalry. Supply chains are nationalized. Currency systems are politicized. The data tells a sobering story. Periods of economic stagnation consistently precede periods of geopolitical instability. History isn't repeating exactly, but it's rhyming. So what is the real economic reason countries go to war? First takeaway. War is often the result of prolonged economic pressure, not sudden aggression. Second takeaway. When economic systems fail to adapt, political systems externalize blame. Third takeaway. Conflict is frequently used as a reset mechanism when peaceful reform becomes politically impossible. The warning is clear. Ignoring economic stress doesn't preserve peace, it postpones conflict. And the open-ended question remains. As global economic pressures continue to rise, will today's systems adapt in time or repeat the same cycle under new names? If this analysis helped you see war through a deeper lens, support the channel by liking the video, subscribing for more long-form explanations, and sharing your thoughts below. Because understanding the real causes of conflict is the first step toward recognizing the risks before history repeats itself.